Indie Case Files is a production of Inked Geek Studios. Get this and other great shows at inkgeekstudios.com. To help support Indie Case Files and Inked Geek Studios, go to patreon.com/igstudios. As little as $1 a month can help this show and other great content. Thank you very much. Even in the corporate world of AAA video game development, some developers wish to keep the love and passion for gaming alive. What follows is a sea of games designed and published by small studio developers. Some bad, some good. We'll help you decide. This is Indie Case Files, and these are their games.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Indie Case Files. It's the show all about indie games and indie gaming. And I am your host, Amy Frost. I'm here, as always, with my good friend, Nate Ward. Nate, how are you?
Oh, we took like a month off. It's a bi-weekly show anyway, so really we missed an episode.
One.
But, it happens. But no, I'm good. I'm excited to talk about tonight's game. And,
I am too.
Excited to...
I still don't know how I feel about it. I'm hoping by the time we get to the part where I talk about what I think about it, that I'll figure it out. Maybe not.
Rocking a beanie look for those watching the video version, but the layers covering my ears are kind of getting there, so the beanie might come off at some point.
Oh boy. Whew. I didn't realize it was that kind of show.
Every show can possibly be that kind of show.
Sounds about right. So do you want to tell them what game we're talking about this week?
Sure. This week, let me scroll up on the webpage here. We are talking about Escapists 2, which is published and developed by Team 17 Digital. It came out August 21st of this year, so it is a newer title. It's the sequel to Escapists. From what I looked, I haven't tried Escapist 1. From what I looked at, it's similar with some upgraded features, most notably being online co-op, whereas the original did not feature online play.
Yeah. I didn't play the first one either, and I don't think I would go back, but maybe I would, because some of this, I don't know. So the entire point of this game is that you and any of your co-op buddies are in a prison and you have to escape. It starts out with three different maps, right? Before you unlock anything.
The full access, it's 3 different maps. You have what your base prison. You have your intro, which kind of walks you through it. But once you kind of get by that, you have your base prison, you have your train, and then you have kind of like a Wild West prison. Right.
And then as you escape from those prisons in different ways, which are all sort of specified by the game, then you gain keys. And as you gain more keys, you can unlock more jail maps that you can escape from.
Right. I almost wish, because I knew kind of going in that I wasn't going to play it enough to unlock all the prisons.
Yeah.
But I wish that I had found an easy way to kind of like bypass that and just get into it, because I would love to have seen like what being an inmate on like the alien spaceship would have been like, and what the escape protocol there was.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, because I was trying very hard not to do like I'm going to read a walkthrough and this is what we're going to do. Like, I'm like, we're going into this and we're playing it. And now I kind of wish that I was like, all right, well, this is like, all right, so we played mostly in that first prison together, at least. And so part of it is that every day there are routines. You have to go to breakfast. You have to go to, you've got to go to roll call. You have to go to a job. You have to work out. You have to take a shower. Like, there's all these things that you have to do all day. And if you don't show up, the security level in the prisons rises, which makes it harder and harder for you to escape.
That seemed to follow suit in the third one as well, the Wild West one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Any of the standard prison ones seem to adhere to, your prison lifestyle.
Yeah. And It took us a while to figure out we just had to show up, that we didn't have to spend
Yeah, and I'm
all of our
wondering,
time there.
like, I'm sure there are people who play it in a quote-unquote simulation type way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could show up, and some of them you had to stick around a bit longer, but when it's there's like a little box that tells you what you're doing, and once you get the check mark, you can take off, and no one gives a shit.
Yeah. And then the other part of it is that so there are some inmates that have things to sell,
Right.
that you need money for. And there are inmates that have jobs for you to do. They have like missions essentially for you to do, which is how you get money. And so I'm telling you, I think the way that I was getting out of this prison was to keep my head down and just do my time and hope for, an early release on good behavior.
Right.
Because I never got anywhere near escaping at all.
Yeah, there was definitely like, so you had looked at the leaderboards and you had mentioned that like they were obviously hacked or somebody cheated or there was a workaround to escaping, which sucks because I would like to see what some legitimate times are, and I'm sure I could go look at a YouTube video, but to see kind of what the quick process is, because there's definitely a level of process to it. Like you have to do, not only are you doing your roles, and even if you have to go and just report and then leave again, like you're still trying to do missions. There were several missions where I had to obtain an item that was like in the guards headquarters and I had no idea how to get there. Yeah. And because it's obviously in a locked off area, right? Yeah. And then there were missions where you had to build certain things, but to craft certain things, you had to have a certain intellect level, which you had to go to the library and read a book.
Yeah.
Now, for your stamina and your strength, that was part of your roles. Like you had to go and work out and then go shower, but there was no assigned time for reading to raise your intellect. So you had to go do that in free time. Right. So there was a lot of balancing going on. And again, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was definitely very detailed in what you had to do. And like I said, I kind of wish I had the opportunity to get further ahead with unlocking further prisons, because I'm sure it just gets even more difficult.
Right. I think the biggest thing for me was I never really knew so there's more than one way to escape the prison. I never figured out what any of those were, aside from the brute force of digging under the fence.
Right.
Like I had no idea what was going on. So, I mean, for the most part, I was just going around and doing missions, and every now and then you'd be like, oh, hey, you know what I need? I need whatever, this item. And I'd be like, all right, well, good news. I have all of this money because I've done nothing but help people. So here, I bought it for you.
Right. Now, seeing as we had never played the first one, I'm wondering if the first one was within that same vein of just drop you in and you figure it out.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Well, but the interesting thing about that, right? So we also played, we didn't play together on it, which I wish we had now, but we both played the train map.
Right.
And the train map has posters on the wall that essentially tell you, like, they don't give you everything, but like there are hints in that map that tell you how how to get out. Right. Which was entirely different.
It also was beneficial that where it was a train, and so it was very linear. There was only really one place to go. And again, I really enjoyed the complexity of the game, and it was nice to see a game that was very comical and also very complex. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, on one hand, I'm a very old school gamer where I'm like, give me the challenge. Throw me in like that whole, you think back of the days of like the NES with like Solomon's Key and Legacy of the Wizard, things like that, where you had one life, you got thrown in and you got nothing. You just worked your way through it. And it's nice to have a game with difficulty. But on the other hand, in modern gaming, I'm like, well, give me a little bit of a push.
Yeah, but I mean, like all of those games, like all those NES games had that like wise old man in a tree that would kind of like point you in the right direction. This is like, well, you're in prison. All right.
Yeah, no, but I mean, to its credit, it was really well done. The amount of time we played, we both got several hours into it, play wise. As tedious as it could be at times, I did find myself getting lost in it, and something can be said for that. Where like, I don't want to say it's not fun because I had a lot of fun, but it's not a game. It doesn't have loud sounds. It doesn't have bright colors. It doesn't have cinematics. it's very simplistic in its nature, but it's still a game where you sit down and before you know it, like 3 hours has gone by.
Yeah.
And you get lost.
I mean, there is that puzzle game element to it.
Right.
And that you've got parts, like you'll either acquire parts that can somehow be put together, or you'll know what you need to make, but have to find the things to make it.
Right.
Like, which is cool. Like it really was, because the train one, I had a ton of fun. And especially because like the train one, like the prison one, you pretty much just run around. Like you're fine. You can pretty much, as long as you're not attempting to go into like any of the forbidden areas, like the guards areas. He's like, you were fine. You could go wherever you wanted.
And I liked the dynamic in that one. Now, I don't know if this was doable in the first prison, but one thing I had noticed in the train level was if you knocked out a guard, you could take his uniform.
Yeah,
and then once
you could do that in the other one.
Okay, and then you could walk by the guards undetected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the parts that I liked about the train, though, was that whole like sneaking around and is that like old school bad guys are pathing around and you gotta
right. Very
like,
like
he's gonna go out there
classic
and he's
Metal
gonna
Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or,
I like that part. That was pretty good.
It was cool that I had that dynamic, and I hate to keep saying it, but no, again, I wish I had had access to the other prisons without having to invest a lot of time into it. Because if they have that element of gameplay that's so unique, like the first prison and the second prison being the standard and the train are almost different entirely, or they are different entirely,
right.
and they add different elements of gameplay. As you get deeper into the prisons, they're doing that even further.
Right. But I thought the first one and the third one were very similar.
They were. I mean, it was thematically different.
Mm-hmm.
The Wild West, I'm sure that once you boil it down to the ways to escape, there were probably ways to escape in the first prison that wouldn't have worked in the third prison.
Right. There was also that area that you had to go through where like it had metal detectors, and if you had any of the items on you that you were not supposed to have, like it would set off the alarms.
Right.
They would come for you.
They did indeed.
Misclicking was a hoot. Nothing like misclicking, trying to accept somebody's mission for you and accidentally punching a guard, and next thing you know, you're in the infirmary.
See, now I'm wondering with that, because now you had said you just found your Xbox 360 controller. So when we tackle Cuphead next episode, you'll be playing that with controller. Now I was playing this with controller because when it comes to indie games, unless it's a shooter, I typically tend to go controller as long as they have the controller support. And I felt that it was because there was no clicking. It was just you highlight the closest thing and just hit A or X or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that would have changed the way you approached it, or just made it so it was maybe a little bit more relaxed and casual.
Yeah, I mean, it could have, but then again, I'm so far removed from console gaming now that controllers are weird.
Yeah, no, I interchange them enough to where you kind of keep that balance.
Yeah.
But because there are some games that are just like, I'm not going to play a racing game with a keyboard and mouse.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No.
But I'm going to do everything I can to not play a shooter with a controller. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so this it has 10 prisons overall, up to 4-player online co-op, and you can also do versus multiplayer, which we did not try.
No.
It's got just active drop-in, drop-out via online or split-screen multiplayer, so you don't have to start a new game or anything like that. Over 300 customizations, which I liked. I liked the fact that I could make myself the inmate. And because I like making myself in games. Like, that's just what I do, whether it's a sports game or an RPG or anything like that. Like, I like making a version of myself within the game. Typically, I'm more attractive and more muscular. But yeah, so over 300 customizations, and they had some wacky ones. It was an over-the-top, fun, goofy presentation.
Yeah, my inmate wore a little teddy bear hat.
Right. Mine was
pretty sweet.
a ball cap.
Yep.
He was bald, had a goatee. Like. And there's multi-story prisons, which they list that as a feature, so I assume that was not in Escapist one. Yeah. And that was a dynamic that I thought was fun, whereas there was those multiple levels, and that was part of what existed in that first prison, where if your cell was on the bottom level, because once lights out, which I assume is when you would do your escape in those prisons, is when it's lights out and everyone's locked up in their cell.
Right.
And you would have to, you'd get your way up into the air shaft, and then you'd get to the second floor, and like there were different ways to do different things.
Yep.
I did like the element of, like you had mentioned on the train, you had to be stealthy, but even when you were in the regular prison, you still had to, you had to work your way out of the prison in a stealthy way. And I liked that, like you could move your desk and put it over the hole that you were digging.
Yep. Yep.
You could remove your bed sheets and hang them on the bars to block vision into your room.
Yep.
So again, that goes back to the development, and there were so many little details that added to the, as close as it could be to like a prison escape simulation.
Right.
And I thought that spoke volumes of the attention that the developer gave to the game.
Yeah, one of the things in that third prison, the Western one, was that you had a roommate, and that never seemed to come into play. Like, I feel like that would be kind of a big deal, but it didn't matter. Like, I stole things from my roommate while they were there, and it just didn't matter. So that was weird that it was like a thing that wasn't a thing.
Now, I wonder if that is perhaps the dynamic that if you're playing co-op and you happen to get roommates, like you could obviously work together. Or I wonder if maybe the other AI have personalities, and if you happen, like maybe you just got lucky with that one. You got lucky with your roommate. But you go in there, maybe you have one that will help you escape. Maybe you have one that would rat you out. Maybe like, so it could be different every time. Because there was also that shuffleboard when you started for the first time. There was kind of that shuffleboard where like you picked the other inmates and you could just do random. So I'm wondering if it went as far as the AIs kind of had personality, because there were some that were definitely more violent than others.
Yep.
And they had,
absolutely.
yeah, like, and it wasn't like it was random. Like there was one guy that was constantly stealing things, and like he had like a mohawk and a baseball bat. Like there was a personality to them. So there were traits involved. I'm wondering how deep that gets further on in the game.
Yeah, it's definitely a bigger game than I thought it was going to be. Like there was way more to it. It seemed like I was always looking for more space to hide things, though.
Yeah, inventory management was a problem.
Yeah.
It made me feel, at least purely inventory-wise, it kind of brought me back to the original Resident Evil, where you're always trying to find places to put things.
Yeah.
And at least with this, you can drop them and pick them up. But, I guess somebody else could come pick it up too. So
yeah. I mean, it's totally realistic, but no, because that happened. I dropped things and a guard came and picked it up, and
fucking guards.
They're the worst. Yeah, so one of my favorite things that happened though. So I had this one mission and somebody said, "Hey, can you go get I want to say it was like cookies. Can you go get me some cookies? So and so has them in their room." So I was like, "All right, I got this." So I go over to the room and I find the cookies, and I'm going back to the person who has requested the cookies. Meanwhile, that person is getting beat up by the guards and they pass out. And I'm like, oh no. So before the nurses come to pick them up and bring them to the infirmary,
right,
I just put it, because you can loot someone that's unconscious, right? You can go through their pockets. So I went and I looted, but instead I just put the cookies in the pocket and it worked. And I was pretty psyched about that. I was like, oh, here's your cookie, buddy. Don't you worry, everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, no, like I said, and those were all different things that added to that. Like there were all the little cool moments that they made sure, like even stupid little things that make sense, but you're almost impressed that the developer put that much energy into it or that much effort into it. Like your desk in your room had the hidden slot.
Right.
Now I'm wondering if there was perhaps like a behind the scenes dice roll, like if your desk got searched and you had stuff in the hidden compartment. Like I assume there had to have been a chance that they found it.
I feel like, probably. But
right.
For the most, I think it's low.
Right. And I'm wondering, with having to follow suit, like the guards would get after you if they saw you enter somebody else's cell. Like all these little things.
Yell.
Well,
like
now was there a difficulty setting? I assume there must have been. So
Is there, or is it just built into the map?
I don't remember.
I don't remember there being a difficulty setting. Because I'd have cranked that shit down.
Yeah,
we are out of here.
Because my thought was, with the difficulty setting, I'm wondering if they become more stingent about different things, and whatnot. So, but yeah. So the one thing that we haven't really talked about yet is what happens like in lockdown.
Yep.
So if you aren't following suit, or if you get caught doing something, or if you beat up a guard and take his key,
cutting a hole in a maybe if you stole a key from a guard,
right? Man, those dogs come after your shit.
So
and
that was the best, because I had no so just all of a sudden it's like lockdown, 5 stars, everything's the worst. Get in your room right now. And I was like, all right, I was just reading this book, but okay. So I get back to my room and we're in Discord and I'm like, what did you do? He's like, I knocked out a guard and stole their keys. Oh, all right. Good.
Well, and then, so I did it once, and then I put the key in my hidden spot in my desk, and the dog came after me.
Yeah.
Now, oh no, I didn't do that. I'm sorry. It was still on my person, so the dog had come after me. I'm wondering what would have happened if it was in the hidden slot. I'm wondering if the dog would have found it at that point because of scent. Yeah. But then, now this is the part I didn't like. And I guess whatever, maybe. I mean, maybe I was trying to make it too simple. But I knocked out the guard, stole the key, and then put it in another desk in somebody else's cell. And the dog still came after me. I'm like, what the hell? I don't have the key.
They saw you do it. They know. You have a guilty face.
Apparently.
Yeah. No, so I mean, I spent a fair amount of time in the crafting menu.
Yeah, because there's a lot to craft. There are a lot of weapons.
There's a ton to craft. And it's not just... And it's, you have to craft components to craft other things. And like it has a lot of that same don't starve.
Right. It definitely has elements of that too.
Survival crafting kind of.
Especially the element of like, we're not going to tell you what the item is. We're just going to show you a picture of it. And you have to figure out what it is by the picture.
Good luck.
Which is wonderful with pixelated graphics.
Yeah. Did we mention that? We absolutely didn't. So it's sort of a, I don't know, 16-bit.
Yeah, it's somewhere between like that 16, 32-bit era.
32.
Yeah. It's a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah. Which is cute. Like it's good.
It works. It works well. It would be, with everything that's going on, it would be very difficult, and it also would have a much different feel.
Oh yeah.
If they tried to make it a realistic game,
it would be way more unpleasant when the guards are beating the shit out of someone.
Right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. It no longer is a fun. Yeah. Like, and at that point, I think it would become too fun to beat up on the guards. So, like, it would lose a little bit of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would not be okay. Would not be all right with that. So yeah, no, but the graphics are great, and like some of the crafting in that same kind of Minecraft way are pretty funny. Like you need like and so like inmates would have weird stuff in their desk too. Like, yeah, this guy's just got a bag of flour. That's handy.
Like you do.
I stole a lot of things from people.
I did
a lot.
So some of the crafting was simple and some of it was complex. And I liked the simplicity of certain things where like you take a tube
metal
sock.
And you got a stick.
Or you take a tube sock and a bar of soap and you've got a sock mace.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you think about it and it's dumb and simple, but then you break it down, you're like, man, if I put a bar of prison soap, like you put a bar of prison soap in a sock, it's going to knock a fucker out.
I'll keep that in mind. Oh no. But yeah, no, so one of the workarounds I found for it, because like we'd spend hours just going through people's desks looking for stuff. And I mean, fortunately everything's labeled as to whose it is. So at least you stand a chance of knowing where you've been already.
Right.
But when you accept missions where people need things, they are procedurally generated and they tell you where they are. So every now and then, I'd have to go find something for someone that I needed. So I would
Right.
just keep it. Which does not do well for your rep.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. So, and that was one thing that we didn't really talk about because you had said, yeah, I think I found a trick. I'm just going to accept quests and then not complete the quest.
Yeah.
And keep the item. But you said that there's reps. So what did you figure? Is that like a negative impact on something or?
Yeah, it can. So first of all, like some people that sell things will not sell them to you if they don't like you.
Right. So if you're a prick,
and it's yeah,
they're not going to
and
sell
it's
you
the same
shit.
thing with like missions and stuff. Like the friendlier you are with people, like the more money they give you, the more willing they are to help,
Right.
and things like that. But I mean, I think you'd have to be pretty bad for that to become an issue.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I mean, it must have an effect. But again, I wonder if that's one of those things where, like, if they're just kind of training you in the first couple of, because that's especially where, like, there's no focus on stealth in the first prison.
No.
The train is all about stealth and movement.
Yep.
And then the third one adds, and I'm wondering if they're just slowly piecing together different things, almost like if you were to put it in like a platforming game, right? So you're going to get a new ability, and when you get a new ability for the next level or two, everything focuses around that ability. And then they start working those abilities together to where the point where you have kind of a medley of your abilities to get through a level.
Right.
And I'm wondering if the prisons in this game have that similar dynamic where, like, okay, we're going to give you the basics, and then we're going to teach you how to be stealthy and hide from guards. And then we're going to teach you to deal with environmental effects, because I think there was like sandstorms and stuff like that.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yep.
So, and I noticed one of the prisons is like in like a wintry, cold area.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the elements taught to you separately in the first three prisons prepare you for the later prisons.
Yeah. I wish that I hadn't. So like we were saying, right? So you're just sort of dumped in and you don't really know. And I really was 3.5 hours into the game before I realized that within the game there's a list of like all the endings.
Right.
Like that was a long time. Like I think if you know, and it's a simple fix too. Like just when the thing pops up, it just tells you, because they have funny names too. Like I think we both escaped the train by making a fake carrot and luring a horse next to the train.
Right.
Ridiculous and great.
If I was reading correctly, I think that was the only way that you could solo escape the train. Everything else seemed to require a team.
2 people.
Right.
I think that I know there was at least one other way to get off, but it involved infiltrating the engineers. And I had no idea how that was going to work out at all. And then there was one that specifically said it was for 2 or more people. And it involved a lot of like, in that same sort of early NES Rob the Robot and Gyromite kind of ways of like holding doors open for other people and flicking switches that are nowhere near each other and all that kind of thing. And that's sort of that extra puzzle element that I think was missing in a lot of the other ones. The other levels were puzzles in that you had pieces that somehow had to go together. And in that one, it was a little more specific. It was a little more like the way that when you play like a co-op in a Portal 2 where you need those 2 people to solve a puzzle.
Right.
It wasn't just like a jumble of parts. It was a little more of a concrete puzzle. You open this door and I'll go get that thing, and then I'll flip this switch over here so that you can cross over there. It's a little more cohesive, I think.
Yeah, I had never really did the co-op in Portal 2.
It's a good time.
Yeah, I didn't like Portal 2 as much as Portal 1. It's funny. The biggest disappointment for me with Portal 2 was they dropped the whole cake thing. That upset me so much.
Aww.
So, and you're never, I mean, the song wasn't nearly, like you're never.
The song was not as good.
No.
I do really like it though, but it's just different.
Yeah, it's just not.
I mean, but here, all right, we're on a tangent here for a second. So Portal was incredible, and part of what made
I
Portal
loved
so
Portal.
incredible,
Yeah.
right? And part of what made it so incredible was that it was so completely unexpected. Like it was
Right.
out of the blue. You know what I mean? Nobody saw Portal coming. And so for them to have come even close with Portal 2 to catching that lightning in a bottle again was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could give it that. Like you had to expect it wasn't going to live up to it.
Wheatley was amazing. He was amazing. He was the best.
It did have more complex puzzles.
Yes.
Which I liked. It definitely was. It felt more like a game and less like an experiment.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, it definitely pulled a lot of the stuff that was awesome in Portal and made it more cohesive. Because you're right. That's Portal was like, hey, here's this thing, guys. Have at it.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't even play Portal until I think it was like within the year before Portal 2 came out.
Oh yeah, no, same for me.
Yeah. It actually, what got me to Portal was Still Alive coming out on Rock Band.
Yeah, it was when I saw Jonathan Colton at PAX East in concert and he played or we were all waiting to go in like the big queue room and everyone just sang it. Like somebody started it and the whole room just sang it and I was like, all right, I guess I'll play this game.
You get to at that point.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't understand this reference that all of these thousands of people around me do.
Yeah, I wish I could have been there for that because that sounded.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
It was pretty intense. So yeah, the Escapists.
The Escapists 2.
Even escapier, and yet somehow less escapey. Yeah, I guess my major gripe is that I wish that at the very beginning of the level, just a little like when it tells you like where you are, it just pops up the like the names of the 3 ways to escape, and maybe a little check mark next to the ones you've already done. Whatever, but just
or even maybe a checklist.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just pop up the list. Because, I mean, it's in the settings. Like, it's in the... But I had no reason to go there.
No, it's...
Until I beat the train level, because there were posters on the wall.
Right. Yeah, there could have been... I mean, maybe you're just supposed to assume that the way that you escape in the first level is by the way you would escape prison?
I mean, the other thing is that maybe it was... Like, maybe they assumed that everyone that picked it up had played the first one.
And that's where I was kind of getting to with because again, neither of us played it. And I'm wondering if that was it. Like they just assumed I have to feel like the way that this is just kind of throw you in and let you go, open sandbox style. Like I'm wondering if the first one was the same way. And I would assume it, I mean, if not, I can't imagine there was too much more hand-holding because this introduced the online multiplayer. This was a larger release with a higher budget. So you would think that they would expect that this would have more people coming to play it.
Yeah.
And therefore, there's going to be people who never played Escapist 1 and they're playing this now because it has multiplayer and because it's online multiplayer. So if they were going to have that level of introduction to the first one, you'd think they would have had to in the second one. So that tells me that they didn't.
Yeah.
That's where my thought is there.
I had no idea that Team 17 they were the developers behind Worms. One of my all-time favorites.
Oh, like the original Worms?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I didn't either until I just went to go see how much the Escapists was because maybe I was giving them maybe I wasn't giving them a fair shake, and if it was cheap enough, I'd give it a shot. And so I just clicked on the developer, and it's Worms. It's all Worms. Everything's Worms.
Yeah. I'm wondering, original Worms? Because, I see original Worms, and it's very clearly original Worms. But it's, release date October 30th, 1995. Developer Team 17.
Boom.
Wow.
I love that game.
Christ, has it really been 22 years since that game came out?
Yeah, because I was playing it in high school.
That's fucking crazy. Actually, October 30th, 1995. So our next episode will be
Yeah.
exactly 22 years since the original
No,
Worms came out.
2 episodes.
Oh yeah, 2 episodes. That's right.
We're one in the middle.
Our Halloween episode
Yes.
will be the 22nd anniversary of Worms.
Yes.
That's nuts. But no, that's cool, man. They're still pumping those games out. I guess they Worms Armageddon. It looks like. Now, when was the original Escapists? Because the original Escapists
Is not on the list.
no.
And I don't know why.
Yeah, that's weird.
Right?
No, it's all. Yeah, because you would think it was. You know what I'm wondering?
Hmm.
I don't think Team 17 did the original.
Oh.
Team 17, or the original was.
they published it.
It was
They didn't develop
developed
it.
by Moldy Tooth,
Yeah.
which is the best studio name ever.
It is a really good studio name.
TOOF. So it's Moldy Tooth.
Moldy Tooth.
Because that's exactly
good
how
name.
somebody with a moldy tooth would say tooth. They'd say moldy tooth.
Moldy Tooth.
So Escapist 2, yeah, so it was developed in partnership. It was Team 17 and Moldy Tooth.
Yeah.
I can't say that without laughing. Moldy Tooth Studios.
I have a feeling that we're going to get way worse than that.
Probably.
developer
I'm
names
wondering what
as
else
we
they've done. So they've got Spud's Quest, and that's it. They've done
Yep.
So this is actually pretty cool here. You've got Team 17. This actually might be cool to look at off air potentially. It's the Team 17 Indie Collection.
I was just looking at them.
It's got Escapists, Escapists the Walking Dead. That sounds cool. Overruled Schrodinger's Cat and the Raiders of the Lost Quark.
Good grief.
A puzzle-laden platforming in a unique quantum physics world.
Oh, good.
That sounds awesome
Oh,
and looks ridiculous.
we're a ways out from any more pixelated platformers.
I just like that it's Schrodinger's Cat and the Raiders of the Lost Quark.
Yep. It's good.
It's very well
Solid.
named. Anyway, yeah, so back to Escapist. No, like I said, I liked it. It might be something that I'll definitely keep it installed. And it's something that I would certainly dive back to on one of those days where I'm staring at my list of Steam games and claim to be bored.
Yeah, I think I would break down and actually look at because I wound up not even really getting a chance to even look at the list of ways to escape. And so I think that going into it, at least having a plan, being like, all right, we're going to do this one.
I think if you were to at least kind of follow, even if not fully step by step, but follow some form of walkthrough for at least one escape method to maybe
like
get
if you
to
even
get a
just
feel.
told me like, all right, so you're gonna, I mean, aside from the make a shovel and dig out, like, but for any of the other ones, like even something as basic as that, like make a thing, do this through here, get out. Fine. Because we wound up underground there for a while.
We did. We underground. We broke through one of the walls and got to like one of like the platform areas. So
yeah.
Again, I think it's also
Then
learning.
it all went to hell.
Yeah, you got to learn to cover your tracks, and there's also
because
that
they
level
will fix
of,
everything.
They will, and I'm wondering if because we had one thing where didn't like you dig and then like your room got searched.
No, and it was fine because I had the desk over it.
Oh, okay.
And that was okay. But it was only when
I dug the hole through the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, it was when we were on lockdown that everything kind of went to
See,
shit.
that's what you got to do is you got to dig a hole from your room and connect to somebody else's room and then dig the hole through their wall.
They'll still fix it. It will still be the worst and all your work will be undone.
That's true. Yeah, see, so there's all these little things that you kind of have to work around. And like I said, I like it. It's fun. There's a lot to learn. It's not a simple game at all.
No. And it does have a bit of that work simulator to it, especially if you wind up getting a job, because you do legitimately have to.
Oh yeah, I don't even think we covered that, did we?
We didn't. So you do. Well, we mentioned that you have to go to a job, but
right.
So they have they have a bulletin board with job postings, and it has the requirements for it, be they certain level of strength or stamina or intellect. And like I'm pretty sure you can get people fired by like making them miss work.
Well, yeah, because you had a couple missions that were like that. So you had to go in and like you would get a mission that would be like, yeah, get so and so fired from his job because I want that job.
Right.
And when it was the time for work, you'd have to go track down that person and lay them out so they get sent to like the infirmary.
Right.
Which would then make them not succeed in their job quota for that day, and then they would get fired. So yeah, no, you could definitely do that. So yeah, it'd be a matter of finding out, and you go to the job listing and it tells you who has the job.
Yeah. However, if you do not have a job, you go into like the careers office and they tell you that you're horrible.
You get belittled for 3 minutes.
Yeah. Feels real good. Real good. Very real. Possibly the most realistic.
You're a pile of shit. What do you think you're doing?
That's my favorite. You sit down and they go, you again. You're like, thanks. I didn't want to be here either.
Just let me go.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely will at the very least just again to experience it. I might look and see if there's like ways around like that you need so many keys.
Yeah.
And just because I really want to see the alien one. I want to try and escape the UFO.
Yeah.
I want to see if I dig a hole in the outer wall of the UFO if it sucks me into space.
I wanted to, and I want to be watching from the next cell over. Be like, oh, that's a shame. Too bad.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
Oh no. So, what would you? How are you rating Escapists 2?
I think. I'd say I'd put it pretty high actually for what it is. Yeah. For it being it's well built.
Yep.
It's fairly bug free. I'd say completely bug free. I didn't see any. I didn't experience any.
Well, there was that one part where that guard wouldn't leave your room.
Okay, that's true. Thank you. Yeah.
And apparently, judging from the earlier reviews, like it was pretty bug laden on release.
Right.
They have since fixed those, so it's a solid game now. I would maybe wait till it's on sale though.
It depends. I would say if you are somebody that likes, if you don't have ADD, and you're somebody who likes a puzzler, I would say you'd get your $20 out of it fairly easily. Yeah. We had picked it up on a sale, right?
No,
it wasn't on sale. I thought it was.
I don't think so.
Maybe it wasn't. But yeah, we've got the Steam Winter Sale coming up. I don't think you'll see it on the Halloween sale.
No, probably not.
Yeah. It could just get listed in the things, but usually they're a little bit more thematically focused for the Halloween sale. But yeah, I would say it probably would definitely be on the winter sale. By then it will have been out for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you like a good puzzler, then I'd say you'll get your $20 worth, especially considering these days your $60 game gives you on average 8 to 10 hours. If you take away multiplayer. So I would say for $20, if you like a puzzler, you're definitely going to get your 8 to 10 hours out of this, if not more.
That's true.
And then now, let me go back to the Escapists page here. Oh, Escapists 2. So we have, as at the 14th, update 9 came out, which fixed different issues. Blacksmith job. Oh yeah, so I guess that would be a different thing with the different prisons as different jobs, because there was certainly not a blacksmith job in the prison.
No, decidedly not. No. I painted over graffiti.
Hey, that's the same job I did.
Yeah.
So on the 15th, they announced that Escapists 2 is getting a free update. And that free update is going to be a prison editor. Now that makes me excited because that means that it's going to be like, what is that? The Mario where you made your own Mario levels. I forget what it was called now.
Wasn't it like Mario Maker?
Thank you.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's that simple. So there's going to be a prison editor where you can go on and edit and create your prisons. and you're going to be able to upload them and download different ones from the Steam Workshop.
Yeah.
So I think, again, if you like, and that's going to give you endless fun. If that's what you're enjoying is going in there and approaching the puzzle, I do think that adding that to it, especially, I mean, there are some really creative people that make things for the Steam Workshop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think for $20, I would say you're definitely getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
Now, the season pass is an additional $10, makes it a $30 game. And the season pass, let's see here. The Escapist 2 season pass will feature 3 brand new prisons to be released over the coming months. The season pass will represent a savings over purchasing them individually. There is no name for the prisons yet. And then
No.
it does say, note, the Glorious Regime prison is not included in the season pass. So I'm wondering what the Glorious Regime prison is going to be.
It looks pretty solid.
What's the
Not gonna lie.
the theme of it?
So it's very like
Oh, it's
Russia
already out.
in the
It's for-
80s or North Korea.
You think it's meant to
despite
have
the
kind of
tower-
like North Korea, like Nazi Germany, like is it meant because the Glorious Regime, like it kind of gives me that like
that
dictator.
dictator.
Yeah.
It says, despite the towering walls, electric fences, and the fact that you can't leave, you should be thankful to be serving time here. The glorious leader sees and hears all. Every day you must attend roll call in the shadow of his almighty monument.
Of course.
Experience the thrill of escaping the hidden compound deep in the jungle. You'll need determination and drive to avoid unquestioningly devoted guards, constant surveillance, and the illustrious leader himself in your bid for freedom.
See, now that just
And
sounds
remember
fun.
to praise your glorious leader.
Yeah. So
Like, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it does. You add that to, again, so if you combine the 20 plus the 10 for the season pass, which comes with 3 prisons, and then the Glorious Regime, you're talking $35 along with Steam Workshop prisons. If a puzzler is for you, I would say this is probably one of the better ones to get.
Yeah. No, it is a solid piece of gameplay.
It's fun,
I
it's
like it.
cool, it runs well. And
It
again,
does.
any time, like the Steam Workshop is great, and it's great when it adds skins, and it's great when it adds like soundtracks and things like that. Like that was the cool thing with like Don't Starve. Like
Right.
you could add different soundtracks, you could add different characters and things like that. But when you have a game that is purely about escaping what is essentially a large puzzle room,
Yep.
and then you can have virtually endless puzzle rooms just off of the Steam Workshop.
Right.
I mean, you've got content galore, and that's something that we're missing a lot from modern gaming is content.
True.
The content is great, but it's short, and that's not a problem that you have here.
That is very true.
Okay.
All right.
The truth has been spoken.
Yeah. So I guess I did like it. I wasn't sure, but I guess I did.
All right.
It's my glowing review.
I guess I liked it.
I think the other thing about that train map that really added to it, which I hope is in some of the later ones, and I hope that you can add in the prison builder, was the time limit.
I'm sure. Yeah.
There was a clock, and that added that sense of urgency that you didn't just like. I wasn't just doing my time.
Right.
Like there was a time limit.
Yeah,
And that
you
was pretty
could
awesome.
not mosey your way along because when we first played that first level in the first prison for the first time, no, we definitely took our time. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like I said, you can lose your time in this game, and I think we played it for like a solid 2.5 hours and just
Got
started
nowhere.
chipping a hole in the wall because we
I
were
don't
just
think we got
following a
that
line.
far.
We were being proper inmates.
We were real good.
We were doing missions for people and
Mhm.
beating people up.
Yep.
As you do.
Yeah.
So next week's game is Cuphead, or next episode's game in 2 weeks. So it'll be the 16th.
Yes.
Is Cuphead.
Cuphead.
Do you want? Now I know nothing about it other than that it looks cool. So do
Yeah.
you want to tell us a little bit about Cuphead?
So the quick version. So I've been watching this game for years. Like this is one of those games that's the thing with indie developers, you don't have endless resources to throw at things, so stuff takes a little bit longer.
Right.
Everything is done in like that vintage 1930s animation style, and it's a run and gun. You are Cuphead, and you have fallen in. You've gone to the casino, and you've wound up at the devil's table, and you lose the cost of your soul, and you make a deal with the devil, and he says, "Collect these other souls for me, and I'll let you go." And so
Like
that's
you do.
that's your entire thing, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. I've gotten halfway through the first level.
Now
I'm not going to be good at it at all.
It is unforgivingly difficult from what I hear.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's a run and gun, and it really does, like, even in these first levels, like if you miss a jump and so your timing gets off, yeah, you can wind up in the weeds pretty quick.
Right.
They I mean, it's not you have 3 hit points. That's it. You can buy more, but not many. Like, I was watching some gameplay footage of like significantly further later in the game. They had 4 hit points. So I mean, it's not
right. So
it has couch co-op, but I've seen people do a little workaround, which we might try out.
So it looks like this is the first game these guys have done, at least in regards to what's on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
It just came out this past Tuesday.
Yeah.
And no. Can I? So I have one complaint.
All right.
Can we please stop calling it the deluxe edition when all it does is come with the soundtrack, and it costs the same exact? Actually, it costs a penny more than it would
if you bought them separately.
Because if you bought them separately, it would be $29.98. The deluxe edition is $29.99.
Yeah.
No,
I agree
just
with
because
that.
you include the soundtrack does not make it the deluxe edition, because it doesn't change the game at all. Like, the soundtrack shouldn't be an additional $10 purchase. Make the soundtrack free with the deluxe edition, but give me something else in the deluxe edition. I mean, sure, there's no DLC, and that's good. It goes back to content, assuming the game is there. It's nice that there's not a season pass.
Right.
But and it's definitely something. I mean, I love the look of it. It's very like 1930s Disney cartoon.
The music is insane.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's so good. And like the voice acting, there's not a lot of it, but like I went into the little shop that they have, and there's this like pig with a mustache that's running it, and it's spot on that vintage animation, and it is so cool.
It says play
very excited.
Cuphead or Mugman.
Yes. I'm going to be terrible. I am already terrible.
So what is like, do you have a weapon?
You do. You have a little, you actually just shoot with your finger.
Okay, so it's not like a real traditional platformer where like you're jumping on your enemies.
No, it's a running gun.
Okay.
And it's awesome.
Very cool. But you said the keyboard reviews can be a little clunky?
Keyboard was, so I tried it out on the key because I bought it because I was like, I need to have it.
Right.
And then I tried it on the keyboard.
Right.
I tried changing my key bindings a few times to make it better on the keyboard, and it is just not a keyboard game at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be.
But I mean, I'm someone that plays everything on a keyboard, and that is not a keyboard game.
Right. Yeah, no, like I said, it doesn't seem like it would it would suit that well.
I bet that as a stand-up arcade game, it would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, like a coin op.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see
like
that.
If you have your own home cabinet, that would be the best.
Like put it on like a Raspberry Pi or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be pretty cool. That would be cool. All right. Well, I think that covers it. So
it does.
Yeah. Who's doing the outro? Are you doing the outro?
You. No,
I'm doing the outro.
I don't know what the outro is. I have no idea.
Okay, then. Well, you can.
We are the best at this show.
We are. We're pros. We're experts. We're a big deal. We're huge. Nobody does outros like us. It's too easy. So this has been Indie Case Files, Episode 3. If you have anything to say about Escapists 2 or any of the other games that we've played so far, you can email us at indiecasefiles@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at IndieCaseFiles and on Facebook with the same name. It's all Indie Case Files. It was a unique name. Nobody else has it. We didn't need any weird names or acronyms or other letters or random shit. You can follow our personal Twitch pages to watch when we do stream our games. I stream all the time, regardless. And then I think your goal is to pick up on that in the near future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm being pretty bad, but
so you can follow me at twitch.tv/xsynikx, which is XSYNEKX, and you can follow Amy at twitch.tv/DannyOra.
DANIORA.
There you go. Don't mix up the I and the O.
No, I get mad.
I used to do it all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, leave us a review with iOS 11 if you're on iTunes. Reviewing stuff is really easy now, so we would appreciate that. And if you are listening to this in podcast form and you'd like to watch it live, you can watch it live on Twitch every other Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/InkedGeekStudios. I think that is going to do it.
I think so.
Is that everything? Did I forget anything? Are we good?
No, I think you got it.
All right. Cool. Other than that, if you have a suggestion for a show or for a game that you want us to play on a future episode, let us know. I think that'll do it. So for Amy, for myself, and for the rest of IG Studios, thank you all very much for listening. And we will see you next week. And this show doesn't have outro music, does it?
No.
I don't think it does. No. You've been listening to an Inked Geek Studios podcast. For this and other great shows, go to inkedgeekstudios.com.